Hi, once again, everybody. Thank you for latching on to the latest edition of Birds Weekly. It is presented by the Inside the Birds Network. That man is the guru of Eagles football, Ray Didinger. I'm Derrick Gunn. And the Eagles, oh my goodness, not just the Eagles, what a horrible weekend for sports fans in this region, from Penn State getting upset by a winless team to the Phillies losing game one. And then, of course, there's the Eagles, where Lady Luck had shined on them for 4 consecutive games, but she frowned on them in game number 5 against the Denver Broncos. And Ray, for the 5th consecutive game, this offense does not play a complete 4 quarters. And the thing that perplexes me is, unlike the defense, the offense basically came back relatively intact. Everybody was back from a year ago, but yet this offense can't seem to put it together for 60 minutes of football. I've given my opinion time and time again, and I'll give it again, but after you, sir, you have the floor.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it every week. I mean, even though the only thing that's different about this week is they lost. But a lot of the same problems were there the 4 previous weeks. It's just that it kind of got papered over by the fact that they won. But it's nothing new. I mean, a lot of these same problems were out there. Run defense has not been good all year, and it came back and haunt in this game. Passing game has been up and down, more down than up. And 5 weeks in, you still haven't gotten Saquon Barkley on track. All of those things. And, for 4 weeks, they were able to win, and nobody wanted to hear about those issues. Everybody's want to say, they're 4-0, won 20 out of 21 and all that stuff. What are you complaining about? And you and I were kind of, these people, voices in the wilderness, saying, no, I think you got to sort of look at some of the problems here, because at some point they're going to come back and bite you. In fact, remember when you and I did the show last week and you were asking me for prediction, I said, I'm really feeling about that the Broncos could win this game. And
Absolutely.
I said, look, I can't in good conscience pick against the Eagles until I actually see them lose a game. Okay. Yeah. But I just had a feeling, Derek, coming into this, I had a feeling it was a bad matchup.
Yeah.
The Denver team, everybody was looking at 2-2, not that great, 2 losses on the road. The fact that the Broncos have not been a factor in a long time. I think the people in Philadelphia kind of lost track of just how good this team was and how much on the come they are under Sean Payton, and especially that defense. I mean, they had 2 really good corners in Surtain and Moss, and they have 2 terrific edge rushers, and led the league in sacks last year and are on their way to leading the league in sacks this year. I mean, they can play. And, they have a young quarterback, but he's a young quarterback who plays like a veteran quarterback. Mm-hmm. So I just saw that this was 100 yards of landmines waiting in front of the Eagles in this game, and it came back and it got them. And you can always say, and we should probably say, in fairness, they are 4-1. They've gone through a tough part of their schedule. We all agreed coming into the year is a tough part of the schedule. They came out of it 4-1, with what appear to be some easier games coming up. Mm-hmm. So you're not in bad shape. But the fact is, there are issues here, and maybe you and I can maybe explain some of that.
I think we have to start with the offensive line. 3/5 of the offensive line went into this game nicked up. Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, and Landon Dickerson, and there's not any continuity up front. And when you look at both offensive lines, I mean, we're focusing on the offensive line, but they continuously lose the trench warfare. And we're not used to seeing it, especially this offensive line that spoiled us with mowing people over game in and game out a season ago. They can't get out of their own way, missing blocking assignments, a lot of mental mistakes. And again, I go back to what I initially said. I know that they're nicked up a little bit, but, I've always been of the impression, Ray, everybody's hurt in the National Football League at this point of a season. Everybody has some aches and pains. But if you strap on that uniform and you step out on the field, it tells me you're well enough to play. And this offensive line has not played anywhere close to what we were accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, it was an old Don Shula expression. If you're hurt, you don't play. But if you play, you're not hurt. That's nobody's going to feel sorry for you if you got the uniform on and you're out on the field. But I think realistically, when we look at the offensive line, they just look beat up to me.
Yeah.
We know what Landon Dickerson's been going through, and he's trying to play through it. This last game, he just couldn't do it. He got an ankle injury on top of everything else that's wrong with him. Lane Johnson has been on and off the field now in a couple weeks, so clear he's been dealing with something. Juergens, I still feel, has never really fully come back from his back surgery. I mean, it's been, and that's sort of what you're dealing with up there. I mean, if you talk about the quote unquote skill positions, same guys as last year, same quarterback, same running back, same wide routes, same tight end. So, what's different? Well, it's the offensive line right now. And, the Eagles, I mean, there are all kinds of stats, but there's a stat out there called negative runs, negative plays. And the Eagles lead the league in plays where they didn't get back to the line of scrimmage. And that's mostly number 26. Now, why is that? Is it him? I think I've had people ask me, I think he's lost a step from last year. All that work, that whole workload, all those carries, all those touches. And I'm saying, I don't think so. I don't think it's him. And you saw, I think, all the people that were saying that, Saquon's lost a step. Anybody saw that wheel route that he ran? He has not lost a step. Okay.
No.
So the difference in this running game right now, it ain't him. Okay. It's somewhere else. And it's probably a combination of the offensive line, which is not playing like it has in the past. And let's face it, we were spoiled. I mean, the last couple of years, that offensive line was so good. We just assumed every game, they're just going to win the battle at the line of scrimmage. There's no question about that. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. They're just going to dominate. Well, they're not dominating now. And the combination of that and what I find to be some puzzling play calling, I think it's kind of got this offense spinning its wheels.
How does your offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, not know that a defensive front like Denver's is going to come after you? I mean, they came after him from the outset. They had 6 official sacks, and I don't know how many official hits they had on Jalen. But how do you go into a game not understanding that Denver, which went into this game leading the NFL in quarterback sacks with 15, just basically manhandled the Eagles' offensive line? Now, granted, they do blitz a lot. Right? There were times when I saw not only one safety, but both safeties blitzing for Denver on the same play. And I'm thinking, how do you not counter that? And we keep harping on Kevin Patullo, but the issues run much deeper than him. But you have to start somewhere. And for whatever reason, he's still 5 games into a season, can't call a consistent game plan or a game plan that can put a defense on his heels consistently.
Yeah, it does feel as though last year you felt like after week 4 or 5, when they made that change in offensive philosophy and went with the running game, you felt from that point on that the Eagles offense was dictating the other team's defense. They were controlling them. The Eagles offense was doing whatever they wanted to do. Defenses were trying all kinds of things, but the Eagles offense was running the show out there. That's not true now. And you get the feeling that their defense is now calling the shots against the Eagles offense because they've got them bottled up. How do you reverse that? I think that one of the things you had to anticipate coming into this season was with the success that the Eagles had last year, running the ball with that philosophy and this personnel, and then you win the Super Bowl. Well, you knew coming into this year what happens to all Super Bowl champions is everybody studies their tape. You have the whole offseason to study that offense. And all the things that you couldn't quite figure out last year, now you got 6 months to figure them out. And so every game you're coming into this year, teams have their own idea of what's the best way to stop your offense. And what we're seeing now is just a very heavy over and over again dose of all-out blitzes, run blitzes, zone blitzes. I mean, all kinds of pressure and people just up at the line of scrimmage. And that's what you're running into right now. And the combination of that and the fact that your offensive line is clearly struggling right now due to injuries and again, somewhat what I just think is poor execution, which we didn't see last year, but we're seeing now, has got this offense being very herky-jerky. And when an offensive team is really in sync, for the lack of a better term, the way the Eagles were last year, there is an absolute rhythm to the play calling. I mean, everything just kind of falls into place. And one play leads to another, sets up another, and you can just feel the rhythm of the offense moving. And other than the second half of the Rams game, when you were playing desperation football with no huddle and running a hurry up then, it's the only time this year that you really kind of felt like the Eagles offense looked like it had some semblance of a rhythm. I mean, they've had some good stretches here and there, but nothing that you could feel like, yeah, they're in control of the game right now. That's kind of where they are. And until they find that, every game, and maybe even a game against a bad team like the Giants this week, could turn out to be a struggle.
Are you surprised that we're not more designed running plays for Jalen Hurts? I mean, he's an okay passer, but he can kill you with his legs as well. And I'm surprised. No quarterback draws, no quarterback sprint outs. I'm just sitting here shocked that, especially when Denver identified early in the game, they were coming after you, that they didn't call more designed running plays for Jalen. We saw him do it the first 4 games of the season where he dropped back a step, fake like he was going to pass, take off running. I don't understand why there's not more designed running plays for this guy. I mean, we don't want to see a quarterback take unnecessary hits, which a lot of quarterbacks do, but this guy is so strong in the lower body strength, and he does a great job at getting down, feeling where the pressure's coming and getting down. So why not run him more to make that defense play a little bit more honest against you?
I think it's one of the things they have to think about, and they have to reevaluate. I mean, yesterday, 2 rushes for 3 yards.
That's ridiculous.
That's not the best utilization of your quarterback. It's just simply not when the quarterback is this guy. And you have that kind of thing. I mean, they're 2 for 11 on third down, which you're not going to win many games being that. And you get up 17-3 going into the fourth quarter at home, and then you go punt, 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 punt. Why? And in the second half, this is 2 weeks in a row that you and I are on here talking about some anomaly in the offense. Last week, it's that Jalen Hurts goes a whole second half without completing a pass.
Yep.
This game, you go a whole second half, Saquon Barkley has 1 rushing attempt.
Yes.
I mean, those are things that you just say, that's a misprint. That can't possibly be right. But it is. And when you see those kinds of things right in front of you, you say, whoa, we got to take this offense apart and start really looking at it. And there's something really amiss here. And where is it? What is it? And we went through the whole week with, the A.J. Brown stuff. And is he unhappy? Does he want to be traded? Are they unhappy with him? Are they going to trade him? That's all the conversation that's going on. And is it an issue? I guess. But to me, there are more fundamental X's and O's issues that have to be dealt with to put this team back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, you talk about fundamentals of the game. And when you have a running back like Saquon Barkley, even if the running game's not running, you still run him to give the illusion to the opposition that you're going to run the football. But when he carries the ball 6 times for 30 yards, that's a problem. Because look at Denver. Denver is not a great running team, but they were averaging 143 yards per game rushing. Now, the Eagles held them to a $130, but in the second half, when they made their comeback, the running game was a significant part of their game.
Sure.
And I don't understand. The Eagles had, 11 total rushing attempts in this game compared to 38 passes? Are you kidding me? When you got the best running back in all of football over the last year plus, and basically he walks off the field, his uniform virtually clean because you're not using him. Yep.
And, one of the biggest weapons this team has, like it or not, is the tush push. Yeah. And they weren't even in situations where they could use that here. I mean, this was a game where, but still, to get back to your point about Barkley and the running game, I don't know. It's always, to me, it's been pretty simple philosophy that if you're up 17-3 in a game and you got Saquon Barkley in the backfield, that's where you just run it out. I mean, and when they were a team last year, when they were on their run, there were some games last year where they got in the fourth quarter and they just put the game away. Mm-hmm. They'd be up 10 going into the fourth quarter, and they would go off on one of these 8-minute drives. And when it was over, it was over. you got a 2-touchdown lead at home. That's when you're handed off to your running back, and that's how you close out the game. And in that situation, Barkley's not getting the ball. Look, I know that the running game has not been anything even close to what it was last year. But if you're ever going to turn to it, if you're ever going to give it a chance, that's the time to do it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they went completely away from it is one of the things that I'm saying, what's going on within the four walls down there? I mean, what are these coaches and players talking about? Because right now, I mean, it's an overused term in all sports, especially football, but there is truth in it, in the idea of an identity. What is your identity? And this team on the way to the Super Bowl last year, man, they had a clear identity. There was no question who they were and what they were going to do. Right now, that's missing, you know, and until they find that, it's going to be every week is going to be a struggle.
I'm assuming they already do, but I think Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts need to get behind closed doors. Sirianni needs to tell Patullo what he likes and doesn't like about his play calling. Jalen Hurts needs to tell Patullo what he likes and doesn't like about the offensive structure and how to play more to his strengths. I think they need to strip the offense down and rebuild it. Now, I understand it's a short week coming up, but they need to rebuild this offense from the ground up. I mean, because what they've put on the field for 5 weeks, they were able to slip by 4 times, but that's not going to happen continuously. We saw what happened with Denver, which was a 2-2 team. And although you have a stretch of games here, a 3-game stretch of games where you should win these games, you still have a bunch of games coming up against some heavyweights. And don't think they're not going to attack you the same way Denver did.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, they will. They will. I mean, every team is learning from the team before, and every team has had some degree of success in slowing this offense down. They've certainly had success in slowing down the running game. So how are you going to deal with that? Your idea of sort of a sit down there among the quarterback and the offensive staff, I think we're at that point now. This week doesn't afford you very much time because you got to play on Thursday, but I think it's something that has to be done. I remember Derek, this sounds so simple, but I remember years ago when I was still a writer, I was doing a piece about Joe Montana when Joe Montana was great, after he had his coming out party and was winning Super Bowls and stuff, and trying to put together a story about how he got there, how he became Joe Montana. And I interviewed Mike Holmgren, who was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers at that time. And I said, how did Joe grow into this position to become the player that he is? And he said, when he was a young player, he wasn't great every week. He wasn't. He went through some of the things that a lot of young quarterbacks do. He said, but when he would have a couple bad games and he could see it was affecting his confidence, he said, I'd call him in the office and I'd hand him the playbook. And I'd say, Joe, go through there and pick out the plays that you feel good about. You know the playbook. Just go through there and just circle them, check them off, whatever it is. But you go through there and you pick out the plays that you feel good about, that you feel confident in executing. I don't care if it's 8 plays out of a 300-page book. If that's all you got, that's all you got. But that's where we're going to start the game plan next. That's where I'm going to start making the game plan up. Because it doesn't do any good at all for me on the sidelines to be sending in plays that you don't believe in. That's not going to help anybody. Let's start off with you telling me what you feel good about, and then I'll work from there. And to me, that seems so logical. It's so obvious. But he's the only coach I ever heard that worked that way. But to me, it seems like when you are in a situation like this where a team is sort of floundering on offense and trying to figure out how to get out of it, that's not a bad place to start. Is go to the quarterback and say, you tell me what you want to run, and let's see if you feel good. If you feel good about it, let's start building right there. And I think the Eagles are kind of at that point now. They have to figure it out. They have to find a way to get Barkley loose, and they have to find a way to be able to get their ace receivers open in big spots. And right now, they just don't have it. Some of the play calling just to me is odd to me. There were situations in this game where we saw facing a blitz, knowing the blitz is coming, that you have all your receivers are running vertical routes.
Yes.
Everybody's running away from the quarterback, and he has no hot read. He has no easy outlet. He has no easy throw. That's how you wind up with a quarterback like Hurts taking 6 sacks. And that's just a breakdown in your system. That's just a fundamental breakdown in the system that has to be dealt with and corrected.
2 things that caught my ear after this game. Saquon Barkley said, "We're now facing adversity." And Jalen sat at the podium and said, "We have to focus." And I'm thinking, why are we talking about focus 5 games into a season? But if you go back through the game, they had 5 pre-snap penalties and 9 penalties altogether. Now, obviously, Denver had more penalties. I believe they had 12. The Eagles had 9 penalties, but Ray 5 pre-snap penalties. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable for a veteran unit that has been together. And even when they bring in the substitutes have been with this team. But 5 pre-snap penalties is unacceptable for an offense like this.
You're right. And some of them are 5 penalties in the fourth quarter.
Oh.
That's how you blow a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter is playing dumb football. And they did. But some of it seems to me to be part of it is plays don't seem to be coming in quickly enough. It seems like there are too many instances where things are being done at the line of scrimmage, guys are shifting, and it's like the last second. You're ticking off the seconds. For example, the illegal shift, the illegal double motion that wound up with a penalty on Barkley that took away a 30-yard pass play to Smith in a big spot. Is to me was really a function of the play came in too late, and 2 men go in motion, and Barkley, who knows what he's supposed to do, does not have time to get there and get set long enough for it to be a legal play. It isn't that he was confused. It isn't that he didn't know what he was supposed to do. He knew what he was supposed to do, but by the time he got there, he didn't have that extra second to set and make it a legal play. That's not his fault. That's a communications thing. And that tells me that there's some sort of confusion or disconnect from the booth to the guy on the sidelines who's calling the play and getting it to the quarterback. That shouldn't happen. There are other things. Oh, and while we're talking about penalties, I thought this was a horribly officiated game. I thought it was but I've had a lot of people say to me, the Eagles lost this game because of the officials. No, the Eagles lost this game because the Eagles lost this game. The Broncos had 12 penalties, but I just thought it was a very, very poorly officiated game. And I think you see too much of that in the NFL now, Derek. The NFL is so busy about worrying about what teams they're sending to Germany, what teams they're sending to London, what teams they're sending to Ireland. I'm not as concerned about that as I am getting the game here right. And they have, this is another topic for another day, but to me, they have a major issue with the officiating in this league because it just isn't very good, and the inconsistency from week to week is appalling.
Why do you think the officiating is so watered down? Because it wasn't that long ago when we would applaud the officiating. They were on point more times than not, but now you're right, across the board. You watch any football game, and it's like you're going, how do you miss this? Especially when you have replay. How do you still miss this?
I know.
Why do you think the officiating has become so watered down?
I don't know. I think that part of it is that I think they've changed the rules so much. They've redefined the rules so much. They've put so much subjective thought on. They put so much of that in the minds of the officials, trying to interpret what the intent is on a play, as opposed to just calling the play, trying to think of what was the thought and process going into that. I think they've taken the rule book, which used to be like this, and they've kind of made it like this now. And I don't think it's for a lack of work. I'm sure these guys are prepared. They study their tape. They know the rules. They have to take a written test to get on the field. But I think there is so much gray area in now. What's a catch? What's a football move? Where all of that kind of stuff that never had to worry about before. Never used to have to worry about being second guessed by instant replay. There's so much more for the officials, information for them to process. And the game just keeps moving faster, that I'm sympathetic to a point, because I think it's a really hard job. I think it's a really tough game to officiate now the way it is. But you have to find a way to do better than what we're doing right now. And what you were just saying ago, certain things you just see, that is so obvious. How did you not call that? I thought, and this is not being a homer, because I think people know me well enough to know that I'm not.
Yeah.
But on that last play, the Dallas Goedert down to the
Oh,
field,
my goodness.
I mean, he's being held for like 20 yards. It's not just one bit of contact. I mean, the guy is hanging on him and hitting him for about 20 yards down the field. And the official's interpretation after the game, when he was asked to explain that, said, well, we just felt that there was hand fighting between both guys, and kind of a play. We just feel like it's fair is fair, and we're not going to throw a flag. I didn't see that. I saw one guy that to me was committing obvious pass interference on a play that going to decide the game, and the officials kept their flag in their pocket. On a day when they were throwing flags all over the place, on that play they choose to keep it in their pocket. To me, that's bad officiating.
Yeah, not you're not a homer, but a lot of times we expect teams to get those home calls. We see that a lot, where teams get that home call and the visiting team does not.
Right.
But in this case, you talk about egregious. Oh my goodness. And that was a defining moment in the game. Now, granted, the Eagles never should have been in that position to begin with, but to me, that was a defining moment in the game, because if he gets that, they're inside the 5-yard line with a chance to score that winning touchdown. But
yes,
but lo and behold, it doesn't happen.
Right. And while we're on the subject of officiating, the other call that absolutely had a direct correlation to the winning and losing was the officials choosing to pick up the flag on the intentional grounding.
Oh my God! Oh.
I mean, that's a huge play there. That is I didn't really have as big a problem as a lot of people had with the Zach Bond hit.
Hey, you know that one guy in the group chat who hit a 5-leg parlay week 1 and he wouldn't shut up about it for the rest of the season? Sounds like Kaplan, right? Yeah, it could be him. It could be you, and we would all want to be you. MyBookie makes it stupid easy to get in on the action, whether it's college ball, NFL, super contest, and survivor pools. All the spreads, player props, and in-game lines that you could want, all under one roof. What more could you want than that? If you're new to MyBookie, use our code, THEBIRDS, THEBIRDS, THEBIRDS. Use the code, and any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your bet back bonus token. There is no better time to jump in right now. No better place to play. Football is back. Let's make some money with MyBookie.
Hey, fall is planting season. Did you know that many plants and trees actually do better when planted this time of the year? But you got to know where to start, and that's why I love fastgrowingtrees.com. Doesn't matter if you live in the sunny south or if the air's getting a little chilly where you are, the plant experts can help you find the perfect fit for your space. They've got everything your yard needs: fruit trees, privacy trees, shrubs, flowering trees, so much more. And Fast Growing Trees makes it so easy for you to have your dream yard, because you can order online and get your plants delivered directly to your door. If you're like me, you're tired of spending way too much money on landscaping. And if you walk into one of those nurseries and you look at all the stuff they have, you have no idea where to begin. That's why you need fastgrowingtrees.com. Doesn't matter about the size of your yard. They got over 6,000 plants to fit any space, and a 14-point quality checklist ensures you will get the best quality plants possible. This fall, they have the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to our show get 15% off their first purchase when using the code BIRDS at checkout. 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code BIRDS at checkout. Now's the perfect time to plant. Use BIRDS to save today. The offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Check out the link below or in the show notes and support the show.
Because to me, the way the game's being officiated now, any kind of play out in the open like that, it's an easy call for them to make. You could say it's borderline. At the time, it hurts the Eagles for sure, but I understood why they threw that flag. The intentional grounding to me was so obvious that I was amazed when they picked the flag up. But that is a big play right there. That allows Denver to maintain possession, go down and score. And that had a big swing in the game. And then you have the play with Goddard at the end. So I know people were upset with the officials and they felt that they had an impact on the game, and I think they did. Yeah. But it's too easy to say that the officials took this game away from the Eagles. No, the Eagles had a lot to do with what happened here too.
Going back to talking about mental mistakes and lack of focus, and when Bond pounced on the ball carrier, I immediately said they're going to flag him for that, and sure enough, they did. And then after the game, Bond admitted he has to be smarter than that. And I think we're seeing not just AJ and Devontae frustration. I think we're seeing more frustrations across the board in terms of how this team is playing overall on both sides of the football. And I think that particular penalty was evident of that, because Bond is a lot smarter than that. You normally don't see him do something like that.
No, he's like the last person you would expect to do something that way. And he knew when it was over. I saw his interview, and he didn't try to dodge it. He kind of said, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Was it a vicious hit? Was he attempting an injury? No, but it was late. It was late, and it was right out there in the open. And in today's NFL, that's going to be called more often than not. But in that spot, it really hurt you, because the kid's safety had come up and made a big play in the open field. Big third down tackle right there. And it looks like you're going to get them off the field. And then all of a sudden they get new life.
Now, of course, AJ brings a lot of attention to himself because of what he said or did not say a week ago. And lo and behold, he's a center of conversation again after this game. The deep ball Jalen throws to him, initially you say, man, Jalen missed him by a mile. But when you look at the replay, he slows up and then goes, oh my goodness, the ball's coming to me, and tries to speed it up. It's too late by then. After the game, he says, I didn't see the ball. I thought the ball was already thrown somewhere else. And then all of a sudden I see the ball and it's too late. Are you willing to give AJ a bit of grace in this case? Or we've debated, Seth and Mark Farzetta and I, even if you're the decoy, you have to keep running at full speed. You have to keep running at full speed. Or are you willing to give him some grace in this particular case?
No, you got to keep running. You got to play it out. And, I don't think I can't read his mind, but he's too good not to know that. And listen, that's a big play right there. Everybody said, what I heard today and what I read was that Hurts had him wide open and missed him.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I guess that's maybe how it looked. But if you look at the way AJ runs the pattern, who's really at fault there? The one thing you can say for sure is that it is a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Because that's you don't get that wide open in the NFL very often. But when you do, you got to get 7 points out of it. Mm-hmm. And in that one, if that had happened at that point in the game, the Eagles would have won. Because Denver to that point had shown you very little on offense.
Yeah.
They looked. I think all you needed at 17-3 was one more big play like that, and it would have put the nail in. Mm-hmm. And when they didn't get that, and then they had to turn the ball over, then Denver gets the ball.